Someone was screaming. Then someone else. He turned and saw something move. Something else. Not another cloud like himself, like the others. Like matter. Something solid, but obscured by the emptiness of material. Like a shape in the fog. Many shapes. Neither light nor dark. But some other thing. Some third side of that coin. Passing through the spaces between the spaces. Rushing toward them. Toward him. Sauveterre did not notice his death.
Good evening, my name is Alex Campbell. You're watching Examining the Expanse. We open with Bull informing Holden that the Roci is being hunted by 5 of Marco's ships and that they are completely outgunned. Alex and Bobbie are still heading into Marco's trap and seem destined to activate this bomb and all die in the following explosion. We then get a hard talk from Holden, convincing Bull that them sacrificing themselves in this battle is most probably the right decision to make. All the pieces are in place and the tension couldn't be higher heading into the final episode of this season.
It's a symbol for him. He won't let us get away now.
The only reason we're here is because you decided to go after your girlfriend.
I'll accept my level of responsibility, but Marco Nero's killed millions on Earth. He murdered Fred. He started a war. That's why we're here.
Naomi finally manages to activate a forward thruster, sending the Chad Smoker into a spiral. But ace pilot Alex is determined to dock with his ship, just sustaining the suspense as we move along in the narrative.
The braking burn will be hellish. We're already juiced to the gills. We could stroke out. If anything goes wrong, it'll rip the docking bridge apart, or worse, slam the 2 ships together.
Naomi's on that ship. I'm gonna get her. That's that.
We then cut to Drummer's family, and I once again have to reiterate the fact that I love the aesthetic of Ashford's old ship. It's like old school TOS design meets grungy steampunk. In any case, Drummer is absolutely past breaking point and she finally breaks free from Marco's grip and pulls a gun on Corel. She then fires on one of her own ships, stopping it from being part of this attack, and the whole situation then erupts in this chaotic moment of all these emotional dynamics and ship maneuvers happening all at once.
Don't even twitch. Shut up.
The Expanse has the best space battles in all of sci-fi by far, and this battle here is most definitely the best in the series so far. But it's not just the beautiful CGI ship designs or the realistic effects of gravity or this mass ammunition spilling into space. It's the emotional intent that makes you so immersed in this battle. It's Holden risking it all and putting his life on the line to try and save Naomi. It's Drummer's family and this complex emotional dynamic they've set up with their relationship fracturing, and this informer from Marco's ship being part of this situation. It's all of these beats and these characters that make us so immersed in this battle. This battle concludes with Michio killing Corel and Joseph firing on one of Marco's Martian frigates. These schizophrenic staccato strings just spike the suspense, and this whole sequence is really a masterclass in how to set up all these characters and this emotional dynamic and then put all your pieces on the board and just allow them to crescendo with such intensity. It's on par with Tarantino or Hitchcock or Leone or Cronenberg or Spielberg. It's just absolutely brilliant. All other options exhausted, Naomi chooses to jump into the void with very little air and very little chance of being saved. And then we get this shot that just lasts an eternity, just on her helmet. I thought it was a really interesting choice of how to show this scene, and it just allows us to sit in the suspense. If we had a cut to the Razorback with Bobbie suiting up with upbeat music, the audience would have been well aware that Naomi was about to get saved, but just holding on her and showing it from her perspective, you kind of think, like, is she gonna die here? Like, you kind of know she's not gonna die, but the way it was shot and the way the shots just lingered on her perspective, it just makes you sit there and think and just wonder, in the sadness, in the suspense, is she gonna make it? Her suit is beeping, her breath is becoming weaker and weaker, and it's just great. Then when Bobbie finally does come over and hooks the air up and we hear her speaking, it's still all on that one single shot, and then Bobbie's helmet pans over and the light hits the lens of the camera and we get these beautiful lens flares. It was very well executed for max suspense. We then cut to Alex, who was stroked out within the ship, and this is obviously a massive departure from the books. And I assume that all of this is reshoots and rewrites to write Alex's character out because of Cass Anvar not being part of season 6. And watching it with a critical and analytical eye and try to break down these reshoots that weren't originally in the script, they did a rather seamless job. I mean, they would have had to refilm a few scenes, really. There's a scene with Holden and Naomi talking in the med bay about Alex that would have been shot later on and cut in. There is one scene with Bobbie where Avasarala's head is turned to the back of the camera and they cut in this line about Alex, and the lip syncing to her jaw moving, it's not quite synced up. I'll cut it in here.
I am sorry for your loss as well.
But overall, I thought that how they executed the death was rather seamless, and if you didn't know any of the behind the scenes drama, then you would have just assumed that this is just what had happened, and it didn't look clumsy or dumb or out of place, like they just at the last moment rushed in and said, oh, we need to fix this stuff, but it was all messy. It worked, and I kind of like the fact that he didn't get this big epic hero's death and with the music swells in the moment. It was just random. It felt realistic. That's what happens in real life. People just randomly die without you expecting it. And in this hero's moment, Alex just randomly dies without you expecting it. And it does kind of strip away the plot armor, and I think it's a good narrative beat at this moment in the narrative to have a main character die. And yeah, I'll miss Alex. He was a great character, but I mean, it seemed like the most reasonable thing to do to help the show move on as time passed.
Alex, do you copy? Alex, reply. Do you read me? Alex.
Marco, obviously enraged that his plan to destroy the Roci has completely failed once again, just has this moment where he's just explodes with anger, and then Philip comes in, now 100% on his father's side, completely indoctrinated into the Free Navy's manipulative ways, and he's basically just like, yeah, they're a bigger fish to fry. This is a great little building piece for the final sequence in this episode and all the events that are about to be revealed to us.
There's no point to anger now. We tried to kill them, we didn't. Does that alter your plan? There's still more to do.
You've grown.
We also get this massive emotional beat with Holden and Naomi now finally reunited after this entire season and all these chaotic and horrible events. And if her goodbye message to Holden didn't melt your heart, then nothing will. We've been through so much with these people and this family and all these trials and tribulations, and it's all been so brutal and hellish and horrible, but so beautiful and immersive and enjoyable.
You can let me go. It will all be all right. I will love you and Amos and Alex for as long as I love anything. But mostly you.
Probably the most effective emotional beat in this entire episode was Drummer's family watching Serge suffocate Oksana just can't forgive Drummer for purposefully sacrificing Serge, but in Drummer's eyes she had no other options. She wasn't just gonna go along with Marco's evil doctrine and just continue to kill Belters and be his lapdog, so that makes complete sense for both characters. And it's just sad to watch their family splinter. It's just another casualty of Marco's war.
We can still stay together. We have nothing to stay together for.
Amos and Eric then say goodbye to each other with a light-hearted moment with this bottle of tequila smashing. And then we finally get the reunion we've been waiting for all season. The crew of the Roci are back together. But it seems far more bitter than it does sweet, eh? All the shots of the three of them standing together, it looks so empty. It just looks so incomplete. It's funny that Alex, I presume Alex wasn't supposed to die at the end of the season. And these were rewrites because Cass Anvar wasn't going to be in season 6. But it's amazing how effective this emotional beat of one of the crew members, of one of the family of the Roci not being here anymore, how effective it actually is. And this, reunion that we've all been waiting for 10 episodes is just, it's more bitter than sweet. It looks so incomplete and empty without Alex. And it's sad, and it actually is, a really good emotional beat this far into this narrative that the plot armor can get stripped away, and Fred Johnson can die, even though he didn't in the book here, and Alex can die, even though he didn't in the book here, and who knows what could happen in season 6.
It's good to see you too, boss.
Absolutely loved the moment where Amos invites Peaches under the Roci. It felt like a really good, light-hearted beat to have here after all the darkness that this season had showed us. It's like, oh yeah, this mass murderer that specifically targeted you and went on this revenge vendetta to kill you. She's gonna be bunking with us now, but I'm glad you're okay with it, Holden. And Stephen Strait played it perfectly. He didn't say a word, but his reactions to all of this happening was just perfect for that comic beat to hit home.
Hi.
Peaches, come on up.
This uplifting moment with Avasarala talking about how Marco can only be defeated through unity and acceptance, and pointing out the Roci crew as this microcosm of the Sol system and all these people from all these different parts getting on with each other, and not only that, but working together as a team and a family and saving all of the Sol system from all of these crazy situations. It's completely undercut by Marco's fleet attacking the Sol Ring. Not only do we now know that Medina Station that fires back through the ring and against one of the UN ships, and an entire fleet of Martian military vessels is on Marco's side, but the whole scale of everything and the epicness of what Marco has managed to achieve just hits home in this moment. We see him just completely run through the UN ships, go through the rings, Medina Station, most of the Martian military, or at least a big chunk of them, is now on his side, and then we'll get there. We then get the final sequence in this season, and man was it intense. This Martian frigate has crossed through the Sol Ring and is now gonna cross to another ring, to another planet, and they get this message from Cortazar, and to our shock, they're on this planet and they have the proto-molecule, and stupidly they started waking up all the technology, even though Holden has explained how Ilos was a complete horrific nightmare and they only just survived. Then we cut to this gothic proto-molecule ship with ominous overtones, and it's just such a great cliffhanger to end us on. And then the Martian frigate passes through this gate and we get this schizophrenic spiral of energy and all this orange madness. I have no idea what is happening or what it means, but I'm so involved. And the book explained this scene in a really beautiful way. It talked about the Martian ship commander and him watching the molecules in his hands separate, and you could see the skin on his hands, but you could also see all the blood underneath, and you could see all the elements of the ship breaking apart and their individual molecules. And as he called out, he could see the air and the molecules in his voice vibrating through the airwaves and then bouncing around, and then people just start to scream and freak out, and these klaxons start alarming, and the ship essentially disappears. The book has talked about this very small number of ships that have been passing to the ring gates just completely disappearing, and Holden has been talking to Fred about something in the ring gates waking up and the gate builders or somebody getting angrier, and it's also interesting, and it's just a really nice moment to leave us hanging on for a year. For a year! In conclusion, I only watched the first episode of The Expanse Season 1 10 months ago. My mate Jasper was bothering me for ages to watch The Expanse. What's The Expanse? I'm just like, Jasper, will you shut the fuck up? Anyway, I watched it. And 10 months ago, it seems so long ago, and I guess it was, but in that time I just become completely enveloped in the books and the show. I filmed 33 reviews with my mates Jasper and Steve on this show, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. Sitting down and making the reviews, listening to the audiobooks while I was riding to work, watching the show, especially this new season coming out. I think it's probably the best season. It was rather slow for some people, I think, but I'm completely fine with all these slow emotional build-ups when it's written so well and acted so well, especially when we get such a satisfying conclusion. But setting up all the pieces for these moments to happen, and then when it does, it's like, okay, yeah. The payoff, it's well worth the setup. So yeah, The Expanse, it's the best show on television right now, and probably my favorite television show. I think The Sopranos, as far as quality goes and impact on the television landscape, is bigger and better, but personally my favorite show is The Expanse. It's sci-fi, it's dark, it's well written, it's high concept, the acting is amazing, it looks beautiful, and you're just so emotionally involved in all these characters and all these moments. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Belinda R, who's been commenting on these videos since the beginning. We've had so many great conversations, and she's given me inside information into casting and just helped me with stuff I didn't understand, and also shared these videos on Twitter. Thank you so much. I can't express how much your support for this small little channel with these dumb drunk Aussies talking about Expanse means to me. It means the world, and anyone who's watching, it really means the world to me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all again in a year for season 6. But I'll be here, and Jasper will be here, and Steve will be here, and hopefully some of you will be here. Thank you, and good night.
Allah.